You're listening to Parasearch Radio. News, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch Radio or their affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
Good evening, welcome to Haunted Connections here on Parasearch Radio. It's myself, Neil, and of course I've got Jane with me. Hi Jane.
Everybody. Hi.
How are you?
All right, thank you, yeah.
I guess you're chilled out because you just done your meditation.
I am, I'm very chilled, yeah. So, we've just done a lovely meditation class.
So where did you take everybody tonight?
We did try to meet a spirit guide. I think some of them did. Some of them were flying around the building and doing all sorts of things. But some of them came back. They all came back safe and sound, so we're all right. But they all enjoyed it, so it was good.
That's the main thing. They come back safe and sound.
Yeah, and they all have a good time as well. So
brilliant. Okay. Our guest tonight is Barri Ghai. So, hi Barry.
Hi Barry.
Hi everyone.
How are you tonight?
I am very well, thank you. How are you?
We're good. We're good.
Yeah, we're all good.
We've had some good news today, actually. If you remember, Barry, the centre when you came was just the second floor of the building.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah. Well, on February the 9th, we're getting the whole building.
Oh wow, that's amazing! And that's just after I come to your centre for a second time.
You come on the 2nd or 3rd of February, don't you?
No, the first of Feb.
The first. Yeah, so you'll just miss out, unfortunately. But that means you'll have to make another booking.
Yeah.
Oh, I definitely will. So, what are you going to have? So, loads more space and more exhibits and areas too. That's amazing.
It's going to make a hell of a difference.
Yeah, but not only do we get the second floor, but we get everything from the ground floor, including all the stairwells and everything. So it's going to be great.
Excellent. Well, you can fit a lot more people in there then, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only downside to it, I've got to fund it.
Yeah, that might be a problem.
No, I'm not going to be overcharging people to come in. I'm still going to be fair. I'm not going to be like some locations and charge the earth. So I want it so that the little teams can still come.
Yes, that's a great idea, and I think most locations need to revisit their pricing policy because a lot of teams are priced out, and then they have to start running events in order to pay to do the location, which is not fair.
No, it's not fair. So anyway, to all our listeners, there might be a couple who don't know who you are, Barry. I don't know where they've been. Tell us something about yourself. You know, how you started in the field and that sort of thing.
Okay, well, let's just start. Normal stuff then. I'm Barri Ghai. I'm a professional paranormal investigator and TV presenter, as seen on the current programme Help My House is Haunted. Series 2 is currently airing on Really Channel, Thursday nights as part of their weekend new bit of programme schedule. And I guess I've been a paranormal investigator, ghost hunter, whatever you want to call it these days. I've been doing this for a very long time now, almost 20 years, I think. And I started just through curiosity, the same as most people. You know, I had lots of personal paranormal experiences. I could not explain them away. I saw things that completely terrified me. And I shared my house with something for a period of time that scared me, you know, deliberately trying to, affect me and torment me and all of that stuff. So I went from that to a kind of, well, I need to know more, I need to learn more, I need to know more, I need to figure this out because I'm not crazy, this is really going on. And only a few people witnessed it, and only a few people kind of believed me. And that includes family members. So it was interesting kind of time back in the day. And I went to university, and I was far, far away from London, and I saw a full-bodied apparition of a little girl stood in my room. And that was the kind of turning point for me, because I knew then that, well, I have this ability to see spirits. They're clearly trying to communicate with me, and I'm not claiming here I'm psychic or anything like that. I'm just saying that there was something going on that I needed to figure out where we are positioned in this ether, in this dimension, and how does this work? And I skull ghost. And sorry guys, if there's a buzzing on this radio show, it's my notifications. I can't turn them off. So my GPS team that listening, please stop WhatsApping me. So yeah, let me get back to that. So I was at university. I saw this girl ghost, and it scared the crap out of me. Absolutely, I literally jumped out of the bed and fly kicked her, but it didn't work. She dissolved into the room, and I knew it was a ghost. I knew it was a spirit, simply because there was no little girls in our university house for a start. She was only about 7 or 8 years of age, and I could see through her. So I could see her face and her hair colour and eyes and everything she was wearing, but I could still see through this apparition. And I went from there on to kind of thinking, I need to develop this further. I need to go and do some investigations. I need to read everything I can. And as soon as I graduated, I built a forum. The Ghost Finder Paranormal Society had its own sort of like a chat room back in like the day when it was like MSN Messenger. Do you remember that? When you used to have chat. So yeah, when MySpace was still around, okay. And I built this forum, and I suddenly had 20,000 members across the world chatting about paranormal stuff, and it was amazing. So I took it one stage further, and I built the Ghost Finder Paranormal Society website, and the society had its website, which was just a load of pages that kind of were dedicated to the world of paranormal. So everything from what is a ghost to poltergeist activity to famous cases, photographs, anomalous phenomena of any kind. And it was really popular. And I wanted a team. I set one up, and we're talking here back in like 2005, 2006 probably. And it just went from there. And I started doing what most paranormal investigators these days are doing, amateur, professional, however you want to call yourself. And it was simply going to notoriously haunted locations and seeing what evidence I could gather. Because my job, my mentality and focus is that I know they exist. I know they exist. That's my personal perception. Yeah. So I'm trying to use, the arsenal of technology that we have at our disposal and some scientific, principles and rationale to evidence them. I find that my best kind of technique that I use is EVP, electronic voice phenomena, or ITC, which is part of research in ITC, instrumental trans communication, for those listeners that kind of have never heard that term before. But EVP, electronic voice phenomena, for me is amazing, and I love it, and I'm so happy and glad that I'm able to capture some very clear responses.
Yeah, you did.
That's it. Yeah, go on.
When you were here at the research centre on the stairs, didn't you?
I did, and it's amazing because there was quite numerous instances where I'm hearing these responses audibly as a DVP or direct voice phenomena. So I'm hearing them in real time and recording them, then playing them back live, so that the others that possibly didn't hear that sound or word or whatever or response get to hear exactly what it is I heard. So I'm validating everything that I'm saying, but more importantly, I'm capturing this evidence, this crucial evidence on the recorder.
Yeah, and we did see that, didn't we, on the last episode of Help My House is Haunted, when you actually went down into that tunnel. I did watch that, and I did find it, just listening to you now, I find it really quite refreshing that even after 20 years of experience, when you were down in that tunnel, you still experienced something that was enough to shake you up to make you run back up the stairs.
I knew you were going to ask me that. Listen. Hands up, right? I still get scared. I'm still human being after all. And obviously when you're in places that I'm put in these positions, not just by Chris, who goes, Barry, get in there, or Barry, go down there, climb up that little hole. Right? I'm doing this stuff, and I'm going in attics and crawl spaces and all these other places that, maybe others wouldn't want to do. But I do it. I have a crew with me. That's fine. But in this particular occasion, I went down in this underground tunnel and the crew weren't with me. They couldn't follow me in. So they were They were maybe 25, 30 feet away recording. I took the broadcast camera down there with me, and yeah, okay, I don't like spiders. I'm fond of rats. I think they're quite cute, but bats are fine as well. And yeah, there are bats down in that little tunnel thing as well. Let me explain something to you guys, because I think the viewers might have been a little bit confused, because I certainly was as well. And this isn't bad editing. This is just that it needed a little bit more explanation. I was down the tunnel, and I had my voice recorder running, and I heard a whispered response in my right ear, and it said, "Who are you?" And it sounded like, "Who are you?" Very quick. I heard it. I knew exactly what it said. And that's the EVP file that I played to the clients at the end of the show. So you hear that?
Yeah.
I then ran out of there, and I had to go back down again. Well, I kind of was almost getting out the tunnel, and I thought, no, I'm going to go back down there. I'm not going to wuss out now and run away. So I went back down, and I had the recorder. No, sorry, I didn't have my recorder running. I simply was just there saying, "Who are you? What do you want?" Because I had the camera down there still. I had some of my equipment that was left down there. And it was at that moment that I heard another whisper, but I didn't understand what it said. Okay, so let me explain that. So that second time, I didn't hear what was said. All I heard was a whisper, and it made me jump, and then I grabbed everything and I ran out of there. It was only in the edit, the editor and the director both said, "Barry, your radio mic picked up this EVP response," and it was "get out." So I reacted, yes. So I actually reacted to hearing a voice, but I didn't hear "get out" until it was in the edit. And it's genuine EVP, you know, it's absolutely amazing that my radio mic actually picked it up, but it shows that any sound recording equipment, depending on the frequency of that kind of electronic voice phenomenon, is able to record these anomalous sounds.
Yeah, we've experienced that, haven't we? When people have been filming up here, they've caught things on the mics.
Yeah.
So I find that fascinating. I actually admire you, Barry, because you reacted like a normal person.
I am a normal person.
You get some people say, "Oh, nothing scares me."
Yeah, but I think it's great that you actually sort of went down there, because it does actually show a different side to the ghost hunting. And a lot of people end up in some real places, you know, when you're in a damp cellar or when you're up in a dusty attic, and, you know, like in your case, you're down in this dark tunnel in the middle of the woods somewhere, and it's not all glamorous locations, is it?
Believe me, it's not. I mean, look, lovely houses and manor houses and castles and things are great to investigate, but when you are investigating places that nobody's been before, you're going to get covered in muck, spiders, vines, you know, insects and bugs and all sorts of things. The amount of, I've been in attics that have never been unlocked or no one's been in them, and I've crawled through these attics that are filled with dust and mice and all sorts of things. And, you know, the amount of weird things you see. In fact, I know they won't make some of the episodes, but in one house in particular, I went up in this attic, and there were old newspapers. We're talking like, you know, 100 years old, bits of newspaper clippings and cuttings and plastic bottles and cans. I mean, a lot of stuff probably had some value to it, but it's just amazing what you find when you're investigating. And the thing is, certain spiritual energies are going to reside in those places undisturbed and doing their own thing. And people often have that misconception where they think, "Oh, well, why would the ghost just be lingering in that dark place, you know, like on its own alone?" Well, they're not in our time frame. They're not in our ethereal existence. It's to them, time is not the same. It's not time isn't linear anyway, but time doesn't have any real fixed purpose to them. It's almost as if we're entering their realm. We can hear them, they might be able to hear us. Sometimes we see them, sometimes we don't. So perhaps the way we envisage the fact that, yes, there's a scary attic, why would there be ghosts in there? Well, there are some energies that are residing in there. It's something that we will never know the answer to until we pass away and see how that that thing works, you know?
Yeah. So how was the filming? How did it go for the series 2? Did you have any unexpected happenings, or did you?
I will tell you now. You're absolutely right. Do you know what? Series 2 is by far better than Series 1, and that's just my opinion, only because of the experiences and the collective experiences that we had. working with Jane was brilliant. I mean, Jane's a fantastic contributor. She's a brilliant presenter, articulate, professional, knows exactly what she needs to do and say, and gets on with it. And she's well read. And Chris, on the other hand, I mean, we are like kindred spirits. Chris and I, we have a bond that you can clearly see on camera. You know, I understand him, he understands me. We listen to each other. We don't fight, we don't argue, and we learn from each other at the same time. And during season 2, we investigated not, as you've seen already, not just famous castles and places like the ancient Ram Inn or Chillingham Castle, whatever. We investigated places that are people's homes. People live there. And in some of the future episodes that you're going to see, they are 2-bed semis, and it's absolutely mind-blowing, the kind of revelations that you get. I know that, in our line of work, and for those listeners right now, they might receive emails and communication from people saying that they have spirits in the house, or they have spirit attachments, or something going on in their workplace. Well, that's what we're trying to investigate. We're helping your everyday people to understand what's occurring and trying to rationalize it, make sense of it, evidence it, and more importantly for me and for Chris as well, and Jane, is to help those spirits to find peace, to cross over, and doing that through prayer and blessings and cleansings. And a lot of people have different views on these things, and we have a kind of mixed bag of views ourselves, but it works. And we have some great responses. Honestly, the future episodes coming up, some of them are absolutely astonishingly mind-blowing. Some of the evidence that we gathered is probably the best evidence I've ever gathered in 20 years.
Yeah, and I think it is a lot more common than we do realise. The spirits and things going on in people's homes, it is a lot more common than people, perhaps realise, isn't it? Because I know we often get lots of calls in our area to sort of go visit people's homes, visit properties, because there's some sort of activity or something going on in there. And it is a lot more common than people realise.
It is. I mean, I still get communications on a daily, weekly basis, emails, messages on social media asking for support and help. It is quite difficult. I don't, have the time, a lot of time, to go and do private investigations as I used to. And that's why my team, the Ghost Finder Paranormal Society, they investigate, for me. They do those cases and I work with them on it. And sometimes I can be there, sometimes I can't. But you're absolutely right. A lot of people's homes, everyday homes, even new builds, have spirits dwelling in them. I mean, I'm going to tell you kind of a little bit of a spoiler alert, I think. So one of the episodes, my favourite episode, is coming up. It's episode 8. And so you've got a couple more weeks to go, about 4 weeks left. And we were in a normal suburban home, family home, that's been the home of these people for 20 years. And for 20 years, they've experienced quite frightening attacks and spiritual energies that have done things in the home. I'm not going to go into too much detail now, but when we were there, we also experienced these things, and we captured an incredible DVP and direct voice phenomena, and played it back, and it gave us a revelation that we needed. And then the equipment that we used validated that. And it was one of the scariest, I know it sounds so silly, but one of the scariest experiences, because I had this sense of trepidation. I had this apprehension about being there. Jane was the same. I know Chris doesn't fear anything, bless him. But no, we kind of all had this feeling, and we gathered some incredible evidence. And it does, I know, again, for some of the more skeptical listeners out there, it was, in our opinion, based on the evidence that we received, something that was demonic in its presence. And that was a scary factor in the whole program. It's not something that we're used to dealing with. I mean, demons come up now and again, you hear about this thing, but again, it has religious connotations to it. But we had to deal with something that wasn't human and was absolutely powerful and terrifying. So it's an episode that most likely has been watered down for viewing, but I guess the reality of it is that we experienced some incredible stuff. And I think after each episode, as Chris has done and I've done now, we've put a few compilations together on our YouTube video accounts of EVPs that maybe weren't put in the program, because I think it's important that the viewers get to listen to some of those amazing EVPs that don't make it in necessarily, not because they're bad, it's because that's the program has a structure and a narrative, and it's been produced and directed in a certain way. So you don't always get to see some of the amazing stuff.
Yeah. Do you think you're governed too much by the production companies?
Yeah, to a certain extent, it's a yes and no. There is this kind of fine line. The production's brilliant. Back to Back are an amazing production company to work with and work for. The executive producer there, Steph, she's awesome, listens to us. And Ben, who was our director and producer of the show, was incredible. They all did an amazing job. All the crew did. And they listen to what you have to say. They work with you. But there has to be some give and take. So there's a lot of compromise that takes place because they have a program to make. After all, it has to be put on TV for you guys. And we still have a job to do. So there's always this battle of wills almost, as in Chris, it's kind of like we have a job to do. This is what we're doing. And sometimes the narrative that you normally have on a program doesn't take that course of direction because it's dictated by what occurs on the night. So my biggest principle here is you're doing an investigation, then whatever happens gives you the content of your show. That makes sense, right? But if you have a line of inquiry that you're following and you deviate from it, then it will cause a problem for the producer and director and the editor, won't it? Because they're going to have to kind of manipulate their idea and their narrative to fit the structure of what it is you gain. So there's always a fine balance that needs to be found. Chris and myself and Jane, we had our arguments with production, but they were good arguments. They're constructive because they helped us to build the episode that we felt was right. And ultimately, we want you to see how much work went into not just making progress, but to help clients and industry affected and helping spirits that are trapped, lost, or need some resolution. And I think you did a great job.
That's good, yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. So had you met Jane before this series?
I met her only once face to face, and that's when we were filming Unexplained Caught on Camera, which is also back-to-back production. So we met then, but we know of each other, which was great. So the interesting thing is that we hit it off instantly, and it was great because we've all got this on-screen chemistry. Like we've been working together for a long time, which is fab. And Chris and I both just embraced Jane and got working with her straight away. And the minute we saw her on camera doing her thing, we looked at each other and we both just went, she's cool.
You can actually pick that up. You can actually pick that up when you're watching it. I mean, I've watched the last couple, and it's you can definitely tell that there's a good blend of energies between the three of you, and that it does work well.
Yeah, I'm glad that comes across. I mean, we did, honestly. We were a team, and we supported each other massively, on camera and off camera. And when it comes to analysing evidence, we had to work together. That's the hardest part. You bring the stuff that you gained individually on the investigation, you bring it together and you conclude it together, and that gives you resolution at the end. So ultimately, when we reveal to the clients our findings, it's because we've come collectively together and we spent hours there sitting, going through EVPs, analysing the experiences and putting it in a sort of constructive narrative that we know makes logical sense, or as far as we can anyway. Sometimes it's difficult though. Don't get me wrong. We're only on location for a day, filming overnight. So we have a kind of back. It's already filmed. We arrive there. We do the interviews and those kinds of bits, and then we do the overnight investigation. And then the following day, we're going to reveal to the client what happened, because in the first series, we actually stayed up until the following morning and revealed straight away, which was really, really challenging. So I'm giving you the kind of secrets here to how help is made, because I think it's important that people understand that you need more than one day on location to investigate anywhere properly, most of the time. And we only get 12 to 15 hours in that location. So it's a huge challenge. And I think the biggest challenge for us is spending that time when you're tired and you've been up all night, going through all your audio files, video files, DVR logging, and bringing together the best bits of evidence. So you go, right, this is it. This makes sense. And this is what we're going to present. And a lot of investigators do. I know Katrina does it, and Jack and Jason and Grant and Zach. They all do it. But I think some of the bigger budget American programs have a lot longer to spend doing certain episodes. Where we get maybe 2 or 3 days, they might get a week. So so it is a challenge in itself, and it's all put together very, very well at the end.
And I think that's something that people don't get to see, isn't it? A lot of the backroom stuff where you are just sitting for hours and hours looking through footage, looking through your EVPs, going through all the, all the stuff that you've captured just to try and get the best stuff that you've got. And people don't really see that when you're doing investigating, do they?
No, not at all. Series 1, we were on location and we were going through audio. So I would literally take myself away, get the headphones on and start going through the 20, 30 files I've recorded, and then I'd have to go through the DVR footage and clip the best bits and that kind of stuff, which only gave us a small turnaround window to do that. Series 2, we actually got to sleep. So we went to bed maybe 8 in the morning till 1 o'clock in the afternoon, got up, and we spent the rest of the entire day going through evidence, then come together at dinner, present our findings, chat about it, work through it all, and then reveal it in the morning. So we had a limited amount of sleep, but it worked, and I think that a little bit more time on location would be better, but we did a really good job as a team, with crew included, in order to get all of that done in that very short space of time.
Yeah, what I like most about How My House is Haunted is, excuse me, there's no ego. It doesn't come across. Well, I know, I've met you once, Barry. I know you are a down to earth guy. I know Jane quite well because I know she's down to earth. I've not met Chris, but you all seem to be on level paring. There's no one says, "Look, it's my show." Is that how it is?
Absolutely. I mean, originally, I think there was meant to be this kind of, who's going to lead the team and stuff. And I think people got the wrong impression because I voiced over the intro to series 1 that Barry's the leader of the team. It's not that at all. There's none of that. Chris does his job. I do mine, Jane does hers, and we work together as a team. So we always keep that in mind. In fact, that's something that we don't even have to speak about. We have that mutual respect and understanding of each other's skills and abilities and experiences in order to kind of say, no, I trust you. That's your forte. That's your expertise. And you'll also find in this series as well, we didn't just rely on each other. I mean, we contacted other people. I make a phone call in one of the episodes to someone. I'm not going to say who yet, but I know she's listening. And I ask her for her expertise and advice whilst we were on location, because I knew that she would be able to help us then and there. And it was brilliant. And it really did bring the whole, episode together. So that's something to be aware of as well. You can always rely on others in the field, your friends, your colleagues that you work with. Give them a call, find out, because I said, I quite clearly state this on camera. I do not know this. This isn't my area of expertise. This is out of my domain. So I need to speak to someone who knows something about this. And that's what you have to do. That's what life's all about.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's nice when you can, when you're humble enough to approach other people for help and advice, isn't it? That's good. I think that's really good.
Yeah. So we'll move away from How My House is Haunted for a bit. What's your favourite location you've investigated?
Oh God! Now you're killing me with that question. I never know. I've been to so many places, Neil. I don't know.
I love throwing that question to all the guests.
Oh, I wonder what everyone else has said now. I'm thinking, well, do you know what? I've got lots of favourite locations, and I visit them frequently anyway. But I really, really liked. No, I've forgotten the name of it. It's the one that we did in Abergavenny. With Fanny Price. What was her name? Oh my God! Come on, help me out, audience. What's it called? I've lost it. It's going to come to me in a minute.
Okay.
It's in Wales. It's in Abergavenny. It's the one where we had the singing at the end, and amazing. It's that pub, the oldest pub in Wales. Everyone's yelling at me right now. I bet there's 100,000 comments saying, "Barry, you should know." I do know. I'm just not in the right zone.
Hey, Kerry said the Skirrid Inn.
That is the one, Kerry. Skirrid Inn.
Good. I knew Kerry would know.
You were killing me with that one, right? So no, the Skirrid is great. I haven't been back. The first time I'd been there was when we were filming Help, and I really love the place. It's got an energy to it. It's got this romantic side to it. It's just a beautiful location in a beautiful part of the world. But again, I don't know. The favourite locations, every single location is different. I think people have to understand that you go to a place and yes, you're investigating a type of phenomena, which you think is categorized by ghost, maybe, or the word spirit. But you have multiple layers of energy in history there, whether it's residual or intelligent. And during the second season, we actually investigated so many places that had not just human spirits. We were touching upon elemental energies. We're looking at, we were looking at energies that a lot of people from the, Wiccan pagan kind of background would talk about freely. Your witches of the world would be talking about pixies and fairies. And my God, yes, we did encounter stuff that would blow your mind. And I can't wait for you guys to watch it. So my favourite location, Skirrid, possibly. I love, what do I love? I love the Ancient Ram Inn, and I'm going back there soon. And I love, what do I love? Hellfire Caves. Chillingham Castle was amazing as well.
Hasn't there just a bit of a cheeky video out about you doing some dancing in Hellfire Caves?
Oh my God, you see. Yeah, thanks to Lee Bliss, who recorded me doing a little bit of a dance. No one was meant to be watching. They were meant, and I didn't even know he was filming it. So anyway, we had some music on. We were just having a bit of downtime, and I had a little bit of dance, and he sped it up, made it into this funny kind of GIF video, and so there's me dancing, and that was at the caves. Yeah.
I thought it was really good.
It's just good dad dancing, isn't it?
I thought that was part of your audition.
It could have been. Imagine that was an audition video. I think Zach was on the spot.
I just thought that was your welcome when you get, and that's saying, "Welcome to Barri Ghai."
That's it.
Yeah, Kerry says Hellfire Caves are amazing.
They are.
I've been to Hellfire Caves. It was an interesting night.
It was.
Of course, the Ancient Ram Inn, you're doing a solo night there, aren't you?
Yeah, I've definitely got to plug that. So basically, I wanted to do a charity ghost hunt, and I wanted a good location, and I put a kind of Twitter poll and a Facebook poll up, and the majority of people said, "Oh, Ancient Ram Inn, Ancient Ram Inn." Now, I've been there many, many times before. I know Caroline very well, so I reached out to Caroline, and I said, "Caroline, have you got a date free that I could do this?" And she said, "Yeah, absolutely." And she literally gave me the place for free and said, it's obviously for charity. That's great. Now, she recommended Action on Elder Abuse, which is the charity that we're raising money for. It's obviously close to her heart, but it's also, looking into it, a fantastic small charity and a great cause, and well respected. So I felt that was a really good charity to raise money for. I set a target, and the target was £650. It's not an extortionate amount of money, but it's going to make a difference. Any charity is going to welcome a donation of that amount. And literally 2 hours ago, I hit that target. In fact, we've now exceeded the target, which is amazing. So I want to thank every single person that's donated to that cause. I think they're amazing. They're wonderful, generous, kind people. And I'm hoping now to smash that target and reach £1,000 before the 20th of December. So ultimately, what this is I'm going to be investigating the Ancient Ram Inn on the 20th of December live. I'm going to say on my own, alone, absolutely 100% alone. Just me in the Ram Inn on the 20th of December live on my Facebook page. I'm going to stream it live to everyone that follows me on Facebook. I'll also do a little bit of Twitter feed as well on there, and Instagram, because I do have followers on there that maybe don't have Facebook, so I think it's only fair. But I want to do it. I want to spend the night there alone. And actually, I said one of my things was, if we hit the £650 target before the 20th of December, I will sleep there as well. So I now have to sleep in the Ram Inn on my own.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, I'm not looking forward to it because I know
what's the room called?
The witch's room or the bishop's room?
Bishop's room, that's it. I couldn't think of the word bishop.
But listen, you guys, if you've been there before, right? There's 3 beds. Yeah, 3 beds in the bishop's room, and they're about 1,000 years old. And I'm not sleeping on those beds. No freaking way am I sleeping on those beds. And in the witch's room, I think if you slept on that bed, you would just collapse it completely. Yeah. I'm sure that it doesn't hold weight very well. Plus, I had an awful experience in that room once before. It was like this huge bang and something crashing against the wall, and oh my God, it was a nightmare. So I'm going to be honest with you. I'll investigate from 8 p.m. I'm going to go live and I'll investigate the place as I would anyway. And I'm going to go around to each area on my own with you guys watching at home. And I'll do my EVPs, I'll do some spirit box, and I'll see what responses we get live, which will be great. So everyone gets to hear them. And then when it comes to kind of finding somewhere to bunker down, I'm inclined, my favourite place would be by the open fire where John's sofa is in the front room, because I can access the front door and get out easily. I'm not trapped upstairs with the demonic entities that reside in there. Having said that, I think that the viewers are going to be, no, Barry, you have to sleep in the attic, or Barry, you have to sleep in the witch's room, or Barry, go sleep in the bottom and freeze yourself to death. So listen, I'm going to follow the direction of everyone who's watching. It's only fair that they raised money, they donated. I'm at their mercy.
So if people do want to donate, how can they do that?
So there's a link on my Facebook page. So if you go on official Barri Ghai Facebook, you'll see that there's a donation sort of site there, and they can donate anything, any amount of money. It doesn't matter how much it is. But as an incentive, I said to everybody that I'm going to, anyone that donates £5 or more, I'm going to enter them into this kind of big raffle prize thing, and I'm going to draw 4 winners live when I'm there, and those 4 winners win prizes. So prizes will range from anything from signed photograph to an exclusive Help My House is Haunted t-shirt, tickets to come and join me on a future paranormal investigation, an event next year, and also a fantastic, I'm going to get told off for this, but I'm going to tell the world now everywhere, a fantastic painting of the Ram Inn, framed, a nice large painting, that was done by the wonderful Andy Moore, Smethwick Baths. Now, you know Andy, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Andy has painted this and he has donated it, and it's the prize I'm going to give away as the first prize, along with other things. And it's a beautiful painting. I've got it here in my house, and I'm going to give that away to someone who's donated. So if anyone wants to donate and be in with a chance to win one of those prizes, they simply just have to donate now. I will put their names into a hat and I will literally pick out some names, and there you go. The winners will be announced live on the 20th of December.
Oh, that's brilliant.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, so get donating, people.
Some good prizes there.
Yeah, it's really good.
That's good. Well, I actually think you should sleep in the attic.
Oh, God, no. Do you know what, I'm dreading that?
Because I am quite nasty. And I just think that's the furthest away from the door.
How am I going to escape if something starts attacking me up there?
Yeah, but that's all. As long as you get it on camera, that's not.
No cares. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Now, do you know what? As a safety precaution, because I know that a lot of people, including my wife and kids, are like, "No, Dad, you can't do that on your own. It's dangerous."
Yeah.
As a safety precaution, one of my amazing team members, Lee, has volunteered himself to camp himself in the car park, and monitor the live feeds and act as my technical advisor, because he's very good with cameras and the sort of live feeds and setup and all that stuff. Yeah. He's going to be communicating with me via two-way radio in case of an emergency. So if there is a problem, a genuine problem, I will radio him and say, come and get me. Like, I'm a celebrity, get me out of here. And so he can run in and save me from whatever's tormenting me, I reckon. But no, hopefully that won't happen. And
it's good.
I mean,
Contingency plan, isn't it?
Yeah, you got to be safe.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I will be alone in the building. I'll be investigating on my own, and I'll be sleeping there on my own. But I will have my safety man, Lee, who's kind of there outside, protecting me. He's being my bodyguard.
Oh, bless him. That's good. It's a really good thing to do. I admire you for doing it, Barry.
I think perhaps more people should do it.
I must admit, there's no way I would do it. On my own in the Ram, no.
It's funny because I posted that, and a lot of people on my Facebook page actually said, "Oh, I'd do that. I would do it. I'd do it for free. Oh my God, that's amazing. I would definitely do it. I'm not scared of anything." But I don't really believe them. I think even me, I'm absolutely bricking it.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people say, "Yeah, that would be easy," but when it comes down to it, it's a different kettle of fish.
Yeah, when you're truly on your own and there's no one there to back up, and you've only got your senses, then it's a whole different kettle of fish, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
You're going to see me in all sorts of precarious positions. I'm going to be running around like a headless chicken, screaming and rocking back. You know what? Lee's going to come in the morning and find me rocking backwards and forwards in a corner of the room somewhere. Right? I have no idea what's going to go down on the night. I'm nervous and I'm excited and I'm looking forward to it, but I'm not. I'm kind of like, what the hell have I got myself into? And I can't get out of it now.
Yeah, and I think they're the best sort of investigations because it's totally unpredictable. And so when you're totally on your own, that's a whole different ball game. Because we've had it up here, haven't we? With Drew.
Even
Drew
Centre.
tried to stay on his own in here, and he just couldn't. By the time it come to about 11 o'clock, he was done, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He shut himself in the tea room, and he couldn't do any more because it was just so terrifying when he was actually here in the building on his own with nobody else.
I'll be honest with you, that's the thing. You know, I'm used to investigating with my team and with someone and on screen with Chris or with Jane. And there are, you know, even when I'm in an underground forest tunnel, I still have crew. There is still a sound guy, director of photography, director, you know, B-roll cameraman. There's someone there. There's always someone with me. So never truly on your own, okay? And it's very rare that ever happens, I think, with any investigator. For safety reasons anyway, but doing this as a solo challenge is not because I have an ego and I'm thinking, oh, well, I'm going to do that. No, I want people to watch. I want to experience things that I would genuinely experience when I'm doing an investigation, but I want everyone at home to watch, but without any contamination from anyone. There is no, if I'm on my own and you know I'm on my own and something happens, well, it's better evidence, isn't it? It's validating.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I mean, just moving from that slightly, Barry, I know you're very, very passionate about your evidence, how you collect the evidence out, all the EVPs, and like you say, all the footage that you've got and all your experience over the last 20 years, the amount of evidence that you've collected. What would you say to somebody who's sort of skeptic and says, well, you know, there's no evidence to say that ghosts exist?
That's just a great one, isn't it? I mean, the argument's there. It's, again, personal perception, and evidence speaks for itself if the person who is there experiencing it with the skeptic, and they experience it at the same time, they're going to have that validation there. That's that's going to change their mind and their own perception. The difficulty is here that when you catch something on video, a lot of people will dismiss it, and a lot of people, if it's too good to be true, it probably is in most cases, but we have such advanced video editing these days and the way things are constructed, it's very hard to differentiate between what's real and what's not. Mm-hmm. Now, when I'm recording EVP, for example, and I'm doing it in front of people on camera, you have that real-time ability to say, we've just heard that response and I've captured it. Or I asked a clear question, play back the recording, and boom, you have a response. You can't debunk that. You can't dismiss that. It's not radio interference or radio signals. There's nothing other than sound waves leaving their imprint on the recorder. And I just find that a better validation, a better proof. Things like the spirit box or portals or those kinds of things, they're open to, kind of skepticism. They're open to people's interpretation of, well, you're getting radio signals in there, or it's that kind of audio pareidolia effect. You know, you're listening to something, you're expecting a yes response. So as soon as there's something that sounds like a yes, you know, with phonemes, etc., you're saying yes, that's what it is. Now, yes, that does happen. I guarantee it happens, and it has happened to us. It has happened to me. But I know that when you're recording EVP, for example, and you're doing ITC experiments, you're getting responses like that. It's very hard to disprove. And with a skeptic, I just say to them this. I say, look, guys, you're skeptical, you're open-minded, or you're completely, totally skeptical about it. Come on an event, come on an investigation with me. Hopefully I can change your mind. And I have had people that do not believe in spirits, do not believe in the existence of an afterlife. They've come on events and they've had experiences that have totally changed their perceptions. One particular example, very quickly, was at Hatton Court Hotel. I had a guy that's a former police officer. He didn't believe in ghosts. He didn't believe in anything. He came because his wife attended the event, and he saw a full-bodied apparition, and it completely changed his mind. That's it. You can't explain it. He saw it. I saw it. It was a combined experience, with multiple witnesses. And wow, well, how do you explain that? unless he was taking something or whatever. But he saw what other people saw, and he's walked away now a completely different person.
Well, that's good then, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not easy to do.
And it is all down to people's personal experiences, isn't it? And we've had people up here at the research centre that have come completely sceptical, and they've been here a few hours, and it has changed their mind, have changed their view of how they look at things. And I think it's good when people can experience something that does open their mind and change the way they feel about it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Now, the Haunted Antique Centre is a phenomenally amazing place, hence the reason why I'm coming back there to see you guys.
Yeah.
To Feb. I went for the first time over a year ago now with the Haunted Live team. So we'd done an investigation. It was all live, and I had an incredible experience. Not only did we get some really good EVPs and DVPs that we heard, we also experienced a very heavy table in your seance room move on its own. Now, I could explain it. The only logical explanation is one of the people around the table moved it. But given that you know how heavy the table is and how hard it would be to actually move in the way that it did, I just can't believe that someone would have done that. I don't think it's possible.
Yeah.
So amazing experiences there, and that's why I'm coming back. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, you did also sit in the wheelchair as well, didn't you? And ask Spirit to move the wheelchair. And it moved the wheelchair while you were there. And your reaction is just absolutely brilliant, because you can see it's a genuine reaction to that chair being moved while you were sitting in it.
Listen, guys, I did not expect that to move at all. And I was as still as I could possibly be, and it had this feeling of it being sort of jolted from behind, and it was like someone grabbed the handles, and oh wow, yeah, that was pretty incredible. It doesn't move a lot, and you do just see it on the video, but you can feel it because you actually feel the vibration of it being moved. So that's the reason why I jumped out my skin. It's a cool place, and I reckon you've probably got loads more new artifacts in there since I've been last anyway, so I'm looking forward to seeing those.
Oh yeah, it changes every week. I'm always moving things around or changing things, and
and we're always getting new items, aren't we? People donate items, people send items. So it's always good. It gives us lots of new stuff to work with as well. Yeah,
so I'm looking forward to you coming back, I must admit.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
That's great. But I'm doing the investigation on the 1st of Feb there. I mean, it's sold out, I'm afraid. So anyone that wants to join me, unfortunately, can't, because there's limited numbers. 9 to 2, as I think it is. But I'm doing a meet and greet, aren't I? So I'm going to have an opportunity there for any fans of the show, or anyone just wants to come say hi to me, to come down for 5 p.m. for 2 hours, and I'll be there. So, anyone and everyone. So I'm going to put the word out soon and get some advertising going. And if anyone does want to come down and say hello, then I'd be, grateful and appreciate it.
Yeah, brilliant. Do you think some places suffer from too much hype nowadays?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I don't really want to do name dropping of places, but but the thing is, no, they do. And you can investigate a place to death. I know, excuse the pun, but you can. If people go there all the time, every single weekend, Friday and Saturday night, and they're doing some form of divination, calling out, asking spirits to communicate, they are doing it to death. And I do honestly feel that some of the more intelligent spirits that are residing in these locations do not care anymore. They aren't performing monkeys, and they're not bothered. They are like, you know what? You're asking for me to do something. Knock on this. Can you make the REM pod lights go off? Can you leave your voice in a recorder? And they just can't be bothered. And I think that's just human nature for you, human consciousness. But like I said, hype, yes. There are places that are, in my opinion, not as paranormally active as people make out. And I think some of the evidence that I've seen on certain locations can be explained away, and therefore don't kind of give that label of, oh, it's an amazingly haunted location. But there are spirits in these places, and a lot of them do have a lot of residual energy, and residual energy can be picked up on, felt, recorded, and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So we do a Monday Night Live discussion from the centre on our Facebook page. Next week we're going to be talking about Ouija boards. So what's your thoughts on Ouija boards?
Good question. A long time ago, I was totally against using boards, only because of my personal experiences. Again, most people have these. Young child, I was 10 years of age, playing with an Ouija board, spirit board, however you want to call it, and whatever happened, whatever I communicated with, I conjured, and it wasn't who it said it was, and it did cause me some problems. And that's part of the reason why my house, when I was growing up, was so paranormally active, and the problems that I encountered as a child from the age of around 10 to 16. So I would have steered clear of boards. Having said that, I now use them, but I use them under, guidance and supervision of those that are a bit more experienced. And I protect myself, I open myself and I close myself down. I do all of that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I personally now believe that it is the same effect using a spirit board and a Ouija board as you would using a spirit box. You are communicating with spirits. You are consciously and willing them to make an appearance and to come through. The very act of using a piece of wood with letters on it is just a way of them giving you some indication and clear answers. That's it. But with the spirit box, you're doing the same thing. You're calling out into the ether. You're asking the ghosts to come and make themselves known. Can you give me your name? Can you leave your voice on this recorder? We are all performing some form of divination, even without kit. When you're in a location and you're open-minded, we were there and we projecting our thoughts into the ether and they're using our conscious thought projection. We're asking spirits to communicate with us, and we're doing that, and we're using our bodies as a tool of divination. So that's what psychics do, but we're all doing it, whether we know it or not. And to cut a long story short, the Ouija boards, are they safe? Yes. Oh God, I've put my money on that one. Are they safe? Yes. They're only safe if used properly, with respect, because when you're communicating with spirits, be respectful and do properly. I don't necessarily believe in opening and closing boards, as people often say. Oh my God, you didn't close the board down, you're going to be possessed, or you're going to have a spirit attachment. Well, no, you can get a spirit attachment just by asking for one. What you need to do is you need to have a lot of powerful thoughts. You need to protect yourself. You need to be strong in mind. And you need to know that anytime you're going on a paranormal investigation, a ghost hunt, an event, you are susceptible to spirits to manipulate you, interact with you, communicate with you physically, mentally, spiritually.
Yeah, that's basically what we think of Ouija boards. So the reason I chose that subject for next week is I had a team in, and they had a bit of a moan to me saying the Ouija board's been left open. And I says, well, I don't believe you open them or close them.
Mm-hmm. It's just a tool, really, for communication. The same as your dowsing rods or your pendulum. Yeah. Do you open up your pendulum and close it down? Or, same with your rods. Yeah. I do think it's all down to respect, though. I do think you have to greatly respect the spirit world when you're communicating with them, and I think a lot of it's down to that, and just being respectful in the equipment that you're using and the spirit that you're talking to.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
So have you ever had a really bad experience, Barry, whilst investigating?
Whilst investigating, well, I have. I mean, unfortunately, I guess I've opened myself up and I've allowed walk-ins, as Chris would call them. Spirits are trying to take over me. And when it happens, it's a very strange, scary experience. And you saw it in Series 1 when I was at Fyvie Castle.
Yeah.
Sorry, excuse me. So Fyvie Castle, I just literally zoned out, and I can't explain it. I don't have any recollection of what happened until I watched it back. And in Series 2, I had another couple of equally frightening moments, I guess. I was physically marked by something, and that's never happened to me before. So I was marked, and you'll see this in one of the episodes coming up. And that kind of shook me up a little bit, because it's not something that I was used to. I've never been marked by anything or anyone or that kind of thing, and I felt like they'd broken my own boundary rule almost. I'd allowed that to happen somehow. So that's a frightening experience when you're physically, hurt to some extent. And then obviously when spirits are trying to talk through you, or they're using you as a vessel to communicate, Now that doesn't. I know people's thinking, well, you must be psychic. No, it's not the case. Anybody, that can happen to anyone. When you're putting yourself in those positions and you're open, you're vulnerable, and you do have a spiritual connection, then yes, these things can happen, not just to the Chris Flemings of the world, they can happen to anyone. And the more and more, I know he's laughing, if he's listening to this, the more and more I work with that man, the more and more susceptible and vulnerable I'm becoming. So it's true. Unfortunately, Jane's feeling the same way. Jane had a fair share of amazingly powerful experiences during this as well, and I'm sure that she can attest to those quite scary moments for her as well.
Yeah. So do you just work in the sort of love and light area, or are you quite happy to sort of delve into the darker side?
I'm delving into everything. I mean, I think it's part and parcel of the job. We don't just have benign spirits. There are things that are inhuman, things that are interdimensional, things that I've now started to experience, like those elemental energies that I have total respect for. And I was a man of a bit more logic and scientific reasoning and stuff, but I am doing my job. I've opened myself up to that. I'm totally there with the whole idea of otherworldly entities. And the darker side of things is probably becoming more and more part of my job these days. I guess on Help, we seem to encounter a lot more darker energies where, they're just there. They're either there making themselves known, or Chris almost unlocks them because that's the way he is. And we deal with them, I've learned, about prayers for the dead, blessings, cleansings, rituals and all of these things to get rid of and to put boundaries up and to protect. And I've had to do that for myself as well.
Yeah, that's good. I'm just going to mention, because Kerry's put on the chat, don't forget, guys, straight after this show, you've got the Paranormal Concept show on Parasearch Radio, and tonight they're talking about premonitions. Oh, that's cool. An interesting one. So if you're listening, just keep refreshing the page after we go, and Kerry will be live straight after. So Dan, she mentioned premonitions then. Let's talk about premonitions, Barry. Do you have premonitions?
You know what? I never used to, but I have in the last, say, five years or so. There's certain dreams that I have that are just remarkably strange, and they seem that they are some instances premonitions. I remember 5e Castle, for example. I had a premonition. I had a vision, almost like a waking dream, of seeing myself stood in a room with this big fireplace, and there were bones burning in the fireplace, and it all seemed to be connected. It's like, the more and more you do this job, more and more spirits and angels and other things, they are guiding you. They are looking out for you, protecting you, and giving you signs. And I've been talking about this a lot recently with friends, and my wife included. She's very spiritual. Lucy is a practicing witch herself, and she's clairvoyant, and she does all of this. And she looks at signs, and she's always referring to these, to angel numbers and to the signs. She says, "Don't miss these. These aren't just things that pass you by. They're meant for you. They are signs that are giving you direction and clarity." And I think with regards to premonitions, when you have dreams that are so vivid and that, try and make sense of them, sometimes they do stand out. And they do become almost a precognitive premonition. So, I mean, a lot of people have them more than others. And again, Chris, he's one for it. He's very, very good. He remembers these things. He has these premonitions. He writes them down. He Instagrams them. So they're out there. In fact, do you remember there was an earthquake in America? It was probably 6 months ago or something. He literally told me about this earthquake 2 days before it happened. And then it happened.
Yeah.
And he just knew it was happening. It was like, did someone tell him it was happening, or did his own, physical, spiritual vibrations just connect with that on that level? And he just knew it was happening. It's just amazing stuff. So I love it. I'm going to listen in on that premonitions chat. I think that's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. You mentioned angels and fairies. Later on, I'll send you a photo that a team's captured up at the centre. I'll private message you, Barry, and you can tell me what you think of this picture when I send it. I think you'll be interested.
Yeah.
So we are just about a couple of minutes to go. So if people want to, let's tell people about your charity event again, Barry. How do they contribute?
So it's a GoFundMe page, but it's the link's on my Facebook page, which is at official Barri Ghai, and it's at the Ancient Ram Inn on the 20th of December. I'm going to be there on my own, doing that investigation live for everyone to see. And I think that the more people that donate, the better. It's going to Action on Elder Abuse. And so far, we've raised just over £650. My target was £650, so we've hit it. It's great, but I have to sleep there, so I'm not just investigating on my own. I'm actually sleeping now at the Ancient Ram Inn until whenever I get up in the morning. I doubt I'm going to sleep, but as soon as it's light enough to leave, I'm leaving. The sun comes up, I'm off. But yeah, I think that's great. So I just want everyone to tune in and watch and be part of the whole experience and really see me out of my comfort zone. So it's not something I'm used to. I don't investigate alone, and this is going to be a challenge for me, not just to walk in the park. You know, you could be a seasoned paranormal investigator and do this for a living, but you know what? It's a scary thought.
Yeah, it's going to be good to watch.
I admire you for even thinking about doing it.
Well, I should definitely be watching. I should be wrapped up in my blanket.
We will be watching at the centre. I'm going to have a big screen on, and we're going to have people, and we're going to have
awesome stuff. Thank you.
And all sorts. So, okay, it's 9 o'clock. So, thanks very much, Tori. It's been fantastic talking to you, Barry. It's always great chatting to you. So, thanks very much.
You're welcome.
We'll see you soon up at the centre.
Yeah, we'll see you in February. No, we're going to watch you in December.
Yeah.
And we'll see you in person in February.
Yeah.
I'll see you in February, guys. Looking forward to it.
Okay, you take care.
Thanks, Barry.
So, thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you soon.
Good night.
Yeah, thank you, everybody who's listened in as well. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.